Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Judges Orientation for the 2020 Colonial Classic. My name is Dennis Kerwin, and I'm the head coach of the William and Mary Mock Trial Program. We are so excited to have you. Just so you know, that is me over there on the far right. In the middle is Gabby DeBellin. She's our tournament chair. And on the far left is Celine Zalamea. She's our tournament director. You're going to be hearing from them as well. I'm going to kind of be the person that you see a lot of, but you'll be seeing a lot of these two as well as a lot of William and Mary mock trialers. And we're here to help your process. Please know that we're here to answer any questions that you have, but we're hoping that this presentation and video for you all helps give you a little bit more context and a little bit more of what you need in order to be a judge for this weekend's Colonial Classic. So first and foremost, in regards to judging, what is college mock trial and what does it look like and how is it different than everything else? And so mock trial is a simulation of a civil jury trial this year where students portray attorneys and witnesses. The trial happens in a fictional jurisdiction called Midlands. Midlands has its own case law, statutes, and rules of evidence. The rules of evidence are very similar to the federal rules of evidence. And so please just know that we do that to make it equal for all of our competitors across all different states with different statutes and things of that nature. The students should be able to tell you what the rules of evidence are and what the case law is and what the statutes are. By all means, you can ask them. That is part of this in regards to objections and things of that nature. And they'll probably give you a lot of that information in the beginning of trial. And so by all means, ask them if you don't know. That's totally okay. But just know that it is separate from any real world knowledge that you probably have. And so in particular, so that you know what this year's case is, Casey Soto and Genesis Petrillo had planned their wedding for June 8th, 2019 at Peony Estates, a winery and bed and breakfast owned and operated by Casey's parent, Harper Martini. During the rehearsal dinner the night before the wedding, Harper presented Genesis with a bottle of wine, which Genesis drank. After drinking the wine, Genesis died, and a toxicology report revealed the presence of pesticides in Genesis's system. Genesis's estate has sued Harper Martini and Peony Estates for battery and negligence per se. So still a very fun civil case. And so a lot to kind of cover here. With this case in particular, the plaintiff has the choice to pursue either negligence per se or battery. And with that, that makes certain witnesses available to either side and some unavailable. And so please just know that if you're judging with us for multiple rounds, or if you judged another tournament earlier this year, or if you judge later at another tournament, every trial is probably going to be a little, if not majorly different. And so please judge every trial for its own merits and not compare it to past trials that you've judged, knowing that they have a defined fact pattern, and a lot of that kind of depends on call orders and things of that nature. And so please just be aware of that. Also know you might hear a witness on the plaintiff in one trial and on the defense in another saying slightly different things. That doesn't mean that either one is necessarily wrong or false. The attorneys will get down to that if that is the case, but please just make sure you're judging each trial as its own. In regards to scoring considerations, please just keep in mind that AMTA seeks to be inclusive and accessible to everyone. We have students that represent a diversity of cultural, religious, ethnic, socioeconomic communities, including members of the LGBT community and students from abroad. Over 50% of our participants are women. And so please just keep that in mind, that it is a very diverse background across all of our competitors. Along those lines, attorneys and witnesses alike should be judged only on the quality and competency of their presentation. As you preside and or score over the trial, we suggest that you do the following. Please look carefully at the suggested criteria for judging competitors on the ballots, which we're going to show you a little later. Consider the guidance that we provide in this presentation. Consistently apply that criteria to all competitors and be clear about what constitutes excellence for you. And keep that consistent. Whether it is excellent for you in one way might be different than somebody else, but as long as it's the same across the board, that's what we really strive for. While this is a competitive activity, as judges, we ask that you help make this a safe, welcoming, and educational experience for all of our students. We don't want anybody running out crying, knowing that this might be the first competition ever for some of these students. And so please just keep that in mind, especially as we're early in our competition season. In regards to scoring, you are not reaching a verdict, nor are we expecting you to, nor should you. That is not necessarily what we're looking for in regards to the trial, knowing that the fact pattern has kind of already been set. Both sides must present opening statements at the start of trial. The defense cannot delay their open for later. Everyone must give their opening statement at the beginning of trial. Both sides must present 3 witnesses, and both sides must cross-examine all witnesses. They don't have the option to not cross-examine a witness. So just keep that in mind, as that is a little bit different in our mock trial world. Some more differences from real trial. There are no objections to openings or closings at all. There are no motions in limine for a directed verdict or a mistrial. There are no sidebars. Competitors might ask that objections are heard outside the constructive earshot of the jury, and that's okay. But please just know there's no official sidebars. There are no objections or questions from the judges in regards to any witnesses or fact pattern. Of course, you can ask questions in regards to objections as they're bringing those up, but please just do not object from the bench or ask questions of any witnesses. Our students will get like a deer in the headlights and they will not know how to respond. So please just don't do that to them. That is a really big deal. So please don't. There are no scope limitations on cross-examination, but there is scope limitations on redirect and re-cross-examinations if it gets there. And so just keep that in mind. There are no requirements that expert witnesses be officially tendered. They don't have to move to have them tendered. They should still lay proper foundation, and you might hear objections to that, which is fine. But just know that there's no official tendering of expert witnesses. There's also no binding federal precedents, especially as we mentioned, Midlands has its own case law. And so students may reference that case law. And so by all means, ask them about it, ask them to show it to you, ask them to explain it. They should be able to. And the competitors will inform you of that if it's necessary. So just keep that in mind as well. In regards to scoring the trial, as I mentioned, you're going to see the ballots later, but you're going to be kind of scoring every element of the trial from the opening statements through the closing statements and everything in between. You will score everything on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest score. You're not allowed to give decimals or half or fractions or anything like that, only whole numbers. So keep that in mind. You're not able to give a 0 unless if the roll didn't occur. So if, let's say, they run out of time and a cross-examination doesn't happen at all, then you can give a 0. But if they say even one word, you have to give them at least a 1. And so please keep that in mind. In regards to the actual scores, the scoring system that you use is whatever you want to use, but it needs to be consistent to you. We're really looking at the differences between the two teams, not just a raw score of who got the most amount of 10s. That isn't necessarily what we're looking for. Just make sure that you're internally consistent. For me, 6 and 7 is about average. 8s, 9s, and 10s are for my excellent. 5, 4s, and 3s for my things that need some work. And rarely do I use 2s and 1s. But for some people, their average is 5. 5 is in the middle. And therefore, if it goes above 5, it is above average. And if it's lower than 5, it is below average to them. You can do whatever you want for the scoring. Just make sure it's consistent and makes sense to you. It's also really important that you score as you go. You're going to see that you're going to have a lot of things for you to score. We're going to talk about that a little bit in the ballot, but please do not save the scores for the end of the trial. Please make sure you are scoring as you go and making comments as you go. If you don't, that majorly holds up our trial. And so our competitors have to meet what's called an all loss time. If they don't finish the trial in that period of time, everyone loses, and they never want that to happen. And trust me, you will see them rush to beat it. But sometimes what we see is that when judges wait to score at the end, they often forget about what happened in the beginning of the trial. It takes them longer. So please just make sure that you score as you go. Other things to consider in regards to scoring, there are several differences in comparison to other competitions. If you've ever judged high school mock trial, if you ever judged a law school competition, things are a little bit different here in undergraduate college mock trial. Witnesses are scored, and they're scored on both direct and cross-examination. You can score witnesses however you feel. Did you feel they were reliable? Did you feel they were interesting? Did you feel they were fun? Did you feel that they didn't know the facts? How do you feel that they knew the facts? How do you feel they defended the facts? Whatever that means for you, just know that you are going to be scoring the witnesses as well. They are allowed to wear costumes, come up with accents, do all of those things. They're not required, but they can, and some of them will. You'll see it. Attorneys and witnesses are allowed to use demonstrative aids, but they are subject to objection, which you can make the ruling on as the presiding judge. We will talk about how we will be announcing presiding judges before each round. And so everybody will still be scoring, everybody will still be commenting, but there will be only one presiding judge that will rule on the objections and help keep things going. You should still score on your own. Do not confer with other judges in regards to scoring. The scoring needs to be for yours. Everybody will be scoring on their own, so please just keep that in mind. And the timekeepers will keep track of time for you. You don't have to keep asking for that. Trust me, they will keep on time and they will keep everybody fair. If a timekeeper says time, it's probably true. So keep that in mind as well. Bailiffs will also help you. We will have a person working in the room as a bailiff. It's just kind of help keep everybody going on trial. And so by all means, use those people to help you stay on time. Don't feel like you need to time anything or keep track of that. So we are using Zoom for our trials that are going electronically. And so please create a Zoom account if you haven't already. It is free if you go to zoom.us. It is a free account. What we're going to talk about now are some of those Zoom settings. And Gabby DeBellin, our tournament chair, is going to help walk us through some of those Zoom settings that are really important for you. Make a note of these. You obviously have access to this video and you can ask questions of us if you have them, but she's going to kind of help walk through what some of this is going to look like, as well as some things to keep in mind.
So before joining the trial, you're going to want to find a quiet place to limit background noise, whether that's in your home office or wherever it is you're zooming in from. In order to avoid any distractions during the trial, you're going to want to turn off all notifications on your computer and cell phone, close any applications that might have notifications of alerts while you're in trial, such as your email. Additionally, you're going to want to silence your cell phone throughout the round. Although you'll be muted during the round if you are a scoring judge, it's better to avoid distractions. When you join the trial room, you want to first make sure that you have the Zoom application downloaded to your computer. After checking into the judge orientation room, you'll receive the meeting link for the courtroom that you are scheduled to judge in. When you enter the courtroom, it's important that you have your video on. That way, our bailiff can take attendance and make sure that you are present. After you check into the judge's orientation, you will receive an email that looks similar to this, with a Zoom meeting link for your courtroom. You're going to want to click on that Zoom meeting link. It will redirect you to the courtroom itself, and you're going to want to click Join with Computer Audio.
So with that, there are going to be points where you need to turn off your camera and mute your microphone, whether you're a scoring or presiding judge. And so Gabby's going to walk us through how to do that as well.
When you first enter the courtroom, you need to unmute yourself and start your video in order for the bailiff to check that you are present. In order to do that, in the bottom left corner of your Zoom screen, there will be two icons. As you can see, I'm currently muted and my video is currently off. In order to unmute myself, I would just click this button and the red slash would disappear. In order to start my video, I would just click this button, the red slash would disappear, and my video would appear on the screen. In order to remove myself from the screen, I would just repeat that process. Now, if you're a scoring judge, you will want to be muted the entire time and have your video off the entire time. If you're a presiding judge, you will want to be on camera the entire time and remain muted unless you are responding to objections or responding to attorneys.
So it's also going to be important that you know how to rename yourself in Zoom, which is a function that's within the process. Gabby's now going to walk through how to rename yourself and things that are important for you to name yourself as.
In order to change your name, hover your cursor over your video. In the top right-hand corner, a small blue box should appear with 3 white dots. Click on that box, and from the drop-down menu, select Rename. If you are a presiding judge, add the word judge to the beginning of your full name. And that will change your name, so that way competitors can see. If you are a scoring judge, you will want to rename yourself with a dash and then SJ for scoring judge.
Also, in the world of Zoom, we're going to have multiple people that are watching, be it spectators or members of the team. Every team can have up to 10 people. And so not everybody will go every trial, but they're still there to watch and support their team. And so with that, you can see a lot of windows that come up at once. And so especially as our competitors know when to turn their videos on and off, it'll be really helpful for you to know how to hide non-video participants in order to best see the trial as it proceeds.
In order to hide non-video participants, simply place your cursor over anyone in the call whose video is off. In the top right-hand corner, a blue box with 3 white dots should appear. When you select that box, select from the drop-down menu, Hide Non-Video Participants. Once you click that, you should only be able to see any participants whose videos are on.
There's also going to be times where it's beneficial to be able to see a gallery view, which is when you can see multiple people at once, and a speaker view where you can only see the person who's talking at the time. Gabby's going to explain that as well as how to change between gallery and speaker view.
Throughout the trial, you're going to want to switch between gallery view and speaker view. Currently, my screen is on gallery view. In order to change it to speaker view, I would go to the top right-hand corner here with these boxes and the word view and switch it to speaker view. And then in order to switch it back to gallery, I would again go back to that top right-hand corner and select gallery. During pre-trial and all examinations, we recommend that you use gallery mode in order for you to be able to see the directing attorney, crossing attorney, witness, and the presiding judge. During statements, we recommend that you use speaker mode, so that way the presenting attorney is fully on your screen.
So again, some takeaways with that is you want to make sure in regards to opening and closing statements, you're using that speaker view so you just see that one person. Gallery view for examinations as well as pre-trial because you're going to be able to see the crossing attorney, see when they're objecting, and the witness and the directing attorney in turn. And so just make sure you keep that in mind. The bailiff will also be able to help if you're unsure. With that, as I mentioned, we were going to show you the ballots, and I am coming through on that promise. Our ballots are using Google Sheets, and so you do not need to have a Google account in order to use them, although we do recommend it. And so with this, it is the way that we will score the trial. And so it's very important that you use your own link. When Gabby mentioned earlier, you're going to get a link with the Zoom link for your trial room after you've checked in. But you're going to need to use your own link for the ballots, and everybody will have their own link for the particular trial that they're judging. It's very important that you don't share that link with anyone as it is attached to your name. And so we want to make sure that we're getting everyone's ballots in. If somebody doesn't have their ballot, please reach out to the bailiff or reach out to us in tab room so we can make sure that everybody gets their ballots. It's also going to be really important in regards to these ballots that, as I mentioned, you fill them out as they go, and that you only fill out the sections that you should be filling out. I'm going to go ahead and show you what the ballots look like now. And so with that, so here is what the ballot looks like. This is what you're going to see, and you'll have your own link. In particular, it will say the courtroom and round up here where it says new ballot. So that's a way that you can confirm to make sure that you have the right one. The kind of rule of thumb is if it's gold, it's something you fill out. If it's white or green, it's something you leave alone. And so keep that in mind as you do this, but this is where you're going to actually score everything. As you can see here, names are already filled in, and all of the names for all of the trial will be filled in for you all the way down through closing. It's really important that you look at that to know that you're scoring the right people and what score should come across. So for example, on the first witness here, this is where Dennis's score as the directing attorney would go, and this is where Celine's score would go as the witness direct and the witness cross. So that's her individual scores. Gabby crossing this witness, which she's on the defense, her score is going to go here. And so you're going to kind of follow this ballot from top down. And so keep that in mind as well. When I say score as you go, that's going to be really important. So say after Dennis gives the opening and Taylor gives her opening, it's important that you score both of those openings in the moment. When you do the drop-down menu, you're going to see 1 through 10. And so you're going to click the score that is most relevant that you feel is valid and do that. In regards to the witnesses to score as you go, you should probably score the directing attorney and the witness direct after the direct is completed, and the witness cross and the crossing attorney after that cross is completed. In regards to objections, there is no direct score for objections, but if you feel that objections were missed or bad objections were made or somebody had a really good objection response and that inflated their score, you can denote that in the actual score for the cross or the direct. And so you are able to change the score. For example, if you think Gabby started at an 8 for her cross, but then she made a really good objection, you can then change it up to 9 in regards to that if you want. Please just keep in mind, though, that you should stick to just what that section is and keep the trial moving as you go down. From that, you also have comments, and that is going to be the second tab that you see here on the comment sheet. And so you are going to need to bounce between the two comment or the two sheets on the Excel document. So from here on the comment sheet, as you can see here, you can type in your comments. All of these names will be filled out all the way through. And so keep that in mind as well. You can write things like great, open, work on your presence, whatever you feel comments are important. This fill out here we purposely do because if we look at it beforehand, we see that the boxes are kind of filled in length. But if you keep typing and you're typing all of these great comments, which we hope you fill out, you're going to see that it's going to start to go beyond the box and you're going to get a little worried and you're like, oh no. But when you press enter, we have it set to text wrap so that it should go around and everything will be okay. So please continue to comment as much as you see fit. The last thing is the team sheet that you may see. Do not touch the sheet in any way, shape, or form. You shouldn't touch it at all. It will ruin your ballot. So please do not touch that sheet. Only touch the ballot and the comment sheet. The second part of the ballot that is really important is for individual awards. You are going to rank your top 4 attorneys and your top 4 witnesses in the round. Once all the ballots filled out, all of the options for all of the attorneys will fill out. As you can see, I only filled out some of the options, so only my name is here for now. But you'll check that name and then you'll check what side they were on. And you'll rank first, second, third, and fourth overall in the room. Same thing for witnesses. The witnesses will be able to pop up and you will check their names and then choose if they are plaintiff or defense and go through. Once your ballot's completed, you're going to inform the bailiff in your round that your ballot is done, and we will go ahead and lock it and take care of it from there so that you don't have to update anything anymore. But it's important that you inform your bailiff so that they can double check just to make sure that all scores are filled out, and then they'll inform the tab room that it needs to be completed. What's really important throughout this is again to know that these ballots are what determine our winners and our losers. And so it's very important that you're filling these out quickly, efficiently, and making sure that you're only filling out the parts that you should be filling out. If you have questions about it, just let us know. With that being said, that's all of the information that we have for you. By all means, feel free to reply to this email that you just got the video from and ask any and all questions that you have. We also will have judges check in before every round. You will all go to the same link, and it'll be the link that we send you in your reminder email of reminding you of the rounds that you should be judging each night. Please make sure you start there, as that will be important, as we will not send you a link to an actual room until you check in. So please make sure that you check in on time so we can go over any final questions, comments, or concerns and get you off to your actual trial. Again, if you have any questions, please let us know. And on behalf of the William and Mary Mock Trial team, please allow me to thank you again. Without you, we wouldn't be able to have this tournament. We wouldn't be able to bring on 26 teams from across the United States to be able to compete. And we truly can't do this without you. Thank you so much. And we look forward to seeing you this weekend. Thanks.